Hey, yo, what up, Azteca Podcast? You already know who it is. It's one half of the sexiest Puerto Rican studs on this planet, Ortiz, baby. And shout out to all the Bodega Podcast listeners. Ow.
Yo, this is the Lucha Thug, the one-man Lucha gang, El Rey Gordo himself, the King Fat Boy Papo Esco, and y'all rocking with the Urban Wrestling Network.
It's your boy, the young GOAT, one half of Injustice, Hot Fire Myron, and you're listening to Urban Wrestling Network. Thank you.
This is Josef Samael from Contra Unit, and you're watching the Urban Wrestling Network.
What's good? It's Tristan Ty, a.k.a. Ikuro Kwon. You're watching Urban Wrestling Network. Hail Contra!
What's up? It's Judge in the building. And make sure you guys check out Urban Wrestling Network. The boys gonna be on there chopping it up. You already know, Street Fighter.
You know what it is, man? It's like Boogie, South Philly. What up? Catch me on the Urban Wrestling Network real soon. Be on the lookout for that podcast, bro.
Yes.
MLW, all that. N.W.A, all that. I'm everywhere. Fuck out of here.
Hey, you guys. This is Christi Jaynes, and you're listening to the Urban Wrestling Network.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jeff here, and you are listening to the Urban Wrestling Network.
Hey guys, this is Carly Delani Perez, a.k.a. Katrina, a.k.a. Maxi from WWE, and you're listening to Urban Wrestling Network.
¿Qué tal, amigos de Urban Wrestling Podcast? Aquí está el mosquetero del aire, solamente para decirles que sigan a mis amigos de Wrestling Podcast, toda la mejor información. Un saludo y un abrazo del mosquetero. La mejor lucha está con el Stretch Style, así es que cuídense y vean estos buenos podcasts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Wrestling Network. I am your host, your quintessential Puerto Rican muffin, Jorge, and today we are going over Major League Podcast, which is what we do for MLW, and this is Azteca Lucha, or Azteca Underground. I want to say Lucha Underground. Azteca Underground, episode number 3 from Mexico City, Mexico. It was a lot of action. I mean, they had like 4 matches, all in an hour, but it's some nice promos in between, a lot of crazy stuff going on. So let's go over to a recap. I started the show with Emilio Sparks, who I like to call as Emilio Rivera or Geraldo Sparks, because the dude was trying to get the scoop on everything. It was Duran walking with 2 of his Azteca goons, and the dynasty came up. They went back and forth. Hammer wanted to beat the crap out of Duran. Holiday kept telling him not to do it because it was definitely a setup. And we found out that it was actually a setup that if Hammerstone touched Duran in any type of way, he would get stripped of the title. And of course, Hammerstone didn't care. He was definitely going to do it. But cooler heels prevail, so nothing happened there. We go to the ring. It was a nice tag team match. We had our boys, the 5150/LAX, Mr. Limelight, and the homie Slice Boogie. What are homies? They were going up against one of Mexico's best tag teams in Aerostar and Drago. And before the match even started, 5150 came out without cornering this time. Nana got on the mic, said a couple of things, and then Slice Boogie wanted to entice a riot when he called Mexico as one of the dirtiest, weirdest places he's ever been. I thought for a second they were not going to make it out of the ring or even out of Mexico after he's saying that. But the match was fun, a lot of high flying, and I had a little spots here and there where you saw a lot of missed moves here and there. But that's what happens when a lot of guys are flying by, doing, jumping, doing a lot of stuff. It was a nice, lengthy match. 5150 looked real good. Drago Aerostar looked real good. And, of course, the good guys, being the 5150, picked up the win with the 4-5-6. Boom, for the pin and the win. And we moved on to the next match. They had two guys that I have no clue of who they are, but they were represented by Crash Lucha Libre, and they were Toto versus Proximo. Now, I'm sorry, but back in 1979, there was a song by Toto called Africa, and that was cool back then. But it's 2022, and no grown man in their right mind should be called Toto. No, I mean, no. Toto, no, 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 no. Anywho, Toto got his ass kicked. That's why he got, he needs to change that stupid name. Because there's no damn way in hell you should be called Toto. But it was a high flying match. A lot of missed near falls, a lot of bumping, a lot of flying, a lot of rotating, a lot of doing stuff. But Toto lost, and good for him. Hopefully, he'll go back and change his name to something else, to Tonto or some shit. But definitely no Toto here, please. Um, we see Richard Holiday, aka Kevin Costner, aka the bodyguard. In the back, he was freaking out because they had put him in a match against Pagano in a brawl there, Barrio Brawl, what they were calling it. And he was not ready for that. He wanted help. He wanted a weapon. He wanted whatever they could find. They couldn't find anything. Even Hammerstone offer him some, I guess, some steroids or some bull pills from Mexico or whatever. And even Holiday said that will take a month before it kicks in. So he went out on his own to do his thing. Now, this Barrio Brawl was amazing. It looked like it was a scene from one of those movies where they're in jail, but they're outside in the wreck, exercising, and somebody comes out to bug you, and you start getting in a fight. That's what it looked like. And I've actually seen one of these things in person, and it was scary. I was back in 2017 in the Impact Zone. Me and Chef have hooked up there. That was around the first time me and Chef actually hooked up in person. From after like 2 years, always talking on Twitter about wrestling. And unfortunately, Mrs. Chef caught Chef talking to one of the Impact knockouts that she did not like, and Chef almost got shanked by Mrs. Chef, and that was the almost was going to be a Barrio Brawl. I signed an NDA, so I really cannot give names of who that Impact person was back then because it's no longer there. But yeah, it was ugly. So I knew this was going to be crazy in 2022, how it was back in 2017. Mrs. Chef is like 5 feet tall, maybe 5'1", and she was coming after some people. She was ready to do some time. So, but we'll digress on that one. I mean, the match was crazy. It started down. It was basically the whole Mexico against Holiday. I mean, Duran was up there. They had their own referee with a mask on, and Pagano. So, Holiday did his thing. He tried to hold on as much as he could. They went up to the second, to the top. They kept fighting up there, and he just dropped the ball because he lost focus and tried to go after Cesar Duran, and that was a mistake because even the ref jumped on top of him and tried and choked him out. But Pagano and was doing his thing, and they got the win. So unfortunately, the dynasty once again falls down or goes down to Cesar Duran and his goons, the goon squad there. But hopefully we'll see what happens in the future, how this is gonna, show go into the show. For someone who's not interested in Holiday and Alicia Atu, she's definitely in everybody's business when it comes to Richard Holiday. So that is definitely something we need to keep an eye on in future episodes. Because I mean, even though she says she's not interested, she looks like she's definitely interested in Holiday. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, they showed a awesome vignette of Jacob Fatu. And folks, let me tell you, this dude is thuggish, ruggish, bone. This dude told his story how he was doing time, he caught a case, did his thing. He knew that the family was a bunch of wrestlers, but he was trying to stay out of that. He was doing his thing in the street. Went to jail for a while, and when he came back or came out, he learned his lesson and decided to go professional full-time wrestling. And we think that he made that decision because the dude is a beast. The dude was a monster. So we're glad to have him as a wrestler, and he's doing his thing here in MLW. The main event of the night was Mr. Kruger from the old contract unit. Now everything has been destroyed with contract unit. So the thing was that if he won and beat Best at 666, then he'll get his rematch against Jacob Fatu. This was an amazing match. I mean, this was all over everywhere. This was all around the whole stage, the whole ring, the whole crowd. I mean, they're hitting themselves with everything. How the Kruger came out or kicked out of a lot of Bestia's 666 moves, and how the Bestia kicked out from some of Kruger's finishing maneuvers, I really cannot tell. But this was an all brawl for everything. I mean, they left everything inside the ring. It was total annihilation. It was like a car wreck. There was everything on the ring, outside the ring. It was just a big mess. I'm pretty sure people are gonna be pissed off having to clean that mess afterwards. So I mean, this was an amazing show. Out of 5 stars, I will definitely give it. No, I'll give it a. I will go with 3.5. You know, four is a little too high, but I will go with a 3.5 because he was good. That Tanto or Toto versus Proximo match. If I knew who, I would have been more invested if I knew who they were. They just kind of had the match. They didn't give us any information on who they were, which is one thing that I didn't like about the production, that you never saw the person's name pop up at the bottom when they get introduced. So you didn't know who was who for a while. But I mean, if it would have been maybe some bigger names having their one-on-one match, I would have been happy about that. Or even another person from Crash Lucha going up against somebody from L1W, that would have worked for me fine too. But you know, it is what it is. Another funny thing that happened was they had a little interview with Alex Kane and Mr. Thomas, and they have a new T-shirt out called Crybaby Tankman, with a Tankman picture or a character, like a character picture of Tankman crying. So it's for sale. So I find it very funny that they're actually doing that, because it's a big baby Tankman crying, and I thought that was funny. And you guys should buy the shirt, which is unbelievable that are actually selling that type of merchandise of one of their big stars actually crying. So that was kind of funny. I know next week is going to be a humongous show. We're going to find out what happened to the Dynasty and what's going on with them. And also, we're having El Hijo de Vikingo, which is the AAA Mega Champion, is going to be on the show. So that's going to be a treat for all wrestling fans, especially if you are a AAA fan. If you ever watched Impact from last year or a couple of years when they had some of the AAA guys there, El Hijo de Vikingo is amazing. This dude is young, talented, high flyer. I mean, they finally put the ball. They finally gave him the ball, and he ran with it. After what happened with Kenny Omega when he pulled out because all the injuries, so he couldn't defend the title. They had a 5-way, and Hijo de Vikingo became the new champion. And we'll see how long he'll hold on to the belt. Hopefully, when Kenny Omega gets back and is ready to come back, they'll have his rematch for the belt that he never lost, and see if he gets it back, or maybe Hijo de Vikingo will keep the belt, but he'll be on the show next week. So this was an amazing show. A lot of action, fast-paced, a lot of good stuff going on. You know, this past Friday, they had the show down in Dallas, and I'm glad that everything went out without a hitch. Because the COVID is going crazy right now with the Omicron and the Decepticons and Megatron and Galvatron and all these other nonsense Transformer names that they're giving these diseases. I don't know. But I'm so glad that the show went out without a hitch. And we'll be having some new episodes, hopefully, after next week will be episode 4 of Azteca Underground. And I think that might be the last episode. And then they'll go into the Dallas show from there forward, before they hit the February, where they'll go down to North Carolina. And then on March 31st, they'll be having the they'll be at Dallas, back in Dallas for WrestleMania weekend. So they have that show on the 31st, and I'm pretty sure they'll do some other stuff there on the weekend, just because it's going to be wrestling week period from Thursday all the way till Sunday. So I mean, that's when the indie guys will make their money selling merchandise and appearing in WrestleCon and stuff like that. So that's going to be huge. So if anybody's going there, make sure you bring that money and support the indie wrestlers. Like I always say, if you believe in the talent, you support the talent. And with that said, I am your host, your quintessential Puerto Rican Muffin Jorge. And don't forget to follow us at Underground, or I'm sorry, don't forget to follow us at urbanwrestlingnetwork.com. Don't forget to follow us at Major League Podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and follow us there. And all to the social medias on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is on the urbanwrestlingnetwork.com. For me, hopefully Jeff will be back soon from his hair transplant that he had done. He told me that his locks are back. He just can't still comb the hair because he's afraid some things might come, the stitches might come out. Yeah, so hopefully he's back next week with one of those hats with the ponytail sticking out on the back or something. I don't know. But yeah, please don't forget to follow us. We're up to 460 followers on YouTube, and this is the year that we're marching to 1K. So please don't forget to follow us. We appreciate everybody who follows and who listens to our show. We do this because we like it, and we also like to share our experiences, that what we see in wrestling. Thank you for listening, and you guys have a nice weekend. And if you are in upstate like I am, please stay warm because it's cold as hell up here. Thank you, and have a good night.